Hi, and welcome to Indie Influencer. I'm Jim Catapano, and today we are very excited to welcome Doug DeVita. If you'll excuse the alliteration, Doug is a prolific powerhouse playwright behind such acclaimed works as Goddess of the Hunt and Just a Rumor. And this year he will be introducing his reimagining of the classic A Passage to India. Welcome, Doug DeVita. I
Thanks.
understand that one of your first creative tasks was adapting Shakespeare for kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. And that came from the reviewing. I had started writing reviews for Vital Children's Theater,
Mm.
and I just loved the work. I would say if something came up, I was like, I'd be the first one to grab it. I wanted to see what they were doing. And I developed a relationship with Carrie Libling, who was the artistic director of the Children's Theater Division. And by then I'd stopped writing, so there wasn't really any conflict of interest. But we became friends. And I remember one afternoon, I was sitting in her office, and we were knocking back iced coffees,
Mm.
and she was nervous because she had almost her entire season planned. She just needed that one last spot, and she couldn't find somebody. She couldn't find a property. And I looked at her and said, "Well, have you ever thought of adapting the Charles and Mary Lamb prose versions of the Shakespeare stories? They were written for children in the late 18th century." And she said, "Oh, that's a great idea. You want to write it?" And it took me like that long to think, yeah, I can do this. So we agreed I would adapt The Tempest for kids, and I was assigned a composer lyricist, Brian Allen Hobbs, and we worked very well together. And that was the first show I did for kids. And I really enjoyed it. And then they asked me to do another one a year later. I worked with a different composer lyricist, Paul Johnson, that
Mm.
that year, and adapted As You Like It. So, and now all these 20 something years later, they're getting published. Next Stage Press is going to publish them. So it's kind of exciting. But
Very.
it was a great experience. I loved working with Vital. I loved working with Carrie, Steve Sunderland, the artistic director of the whole organization. Great guy. And it was a wonderful experience. And that launched me into writing more adult fare. I had been working with someone that I met at the Actors Institute, Gary Lyons, and he saw both of those shows. Oh no, he saw The Tempest.
Mm.
Because after he saw The Tempest, he said he wanted to. If I was interested in working with him on a script, he had an idea for a script. So I was like, sure. So he had an idea for. He had seen an interview with Katharine Hepburn where she talked about the night Spencer Tracy died,
Yeah.
and she had to call his widow, and they'd never met. And she said, and they said, well, Louise, you know, you loved this man. I love this man. There's really no reason why we can't be friends.
Right.
And supposedly Louise said, well, I can be friendly, but I can't be friends because I always thought you were only a rumor.
Oh.
So,
Yes.
fabulous. So that's the name of our play. It's called Just a Rumor. We've slightly fictionalized it. We've moved the time frame. We've changed the names. But anyone who has any sense of film history, the first three lines in the play, they're going to know who we're doing.
Right. And take it from there. Yeah.
And that right out of the gate, that was the first adult play I wrote. We submitted it to O'Neill, and it was a semifinalist that year.
Fantastic.
So, all right, maybe I got something.
Uh-huh. That's
So,
that's a great start. I tell you,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
couldn't ask for
And
better. Yeah.
and that was just published actually
Mhm.
after all these years. Yeah. And then, like I said, I started, and Gary and I wrote two more pieces together. And then I went off on my own. And I, what was the first thing I wrote that got done? Um, oh God, what? Oh, I think it was The Fierce Urgency of Now was something that
Hmm.
I sat down and wrote, which is based in advertising and um, sort of mimics my experiences and one of my former students' experiences. I kind of combined them into one script. And I started to write it because I had worked with a copywriter. Um, she was much older. She'd kill me if she's still alive, if she were still alive. But she was in her 60s when I started working with her, and I was just about 30. But she was brilliant. I mean, she was great. I loved her. She was like a combination of Elaine Stritch, Lucille Ball, and Auntie Mame. I mean,
That's high praise.
she was great. And she did some really major work. I mean, her first job, had been an English teacher for 20 years. She went into the industry at 40, lied about her age. She could, back then, there was no internet or anything we could find these things out, and she
Right.
looked much
To
younger
be
than she
coy.
was.
Yeah.
And her first job, she was put on the craft account,
Wow.
and,
Okay.
and she wrote, "How does America spell cheese? Kraft." This woman was, and then she just rolled and rolled and rolled, and um, she was reach out and touch someone. She was hers, and we didn't do anything nearly that good because we were on a really shitty account, which is in the play. But anyway, she retired. She moved back to Chicago, where she was from, and but we kept in touch. And one day she called me, and she had brain cancer. So
Very
we
good.
went out to Chicago to see her. She came back to New York. She threw herself a goodbye party for everybody that she knew in New York. And then the day she died, I sat down and started writing that script. So it was it was initially done in Seattle. I got slaughtered by the Seattle Times. I
Really?
mean, just slaughtered. Yeah. What are you going to do? There's a voodoo doll here with that critic with a pin in it. Um, but
Gotta have
uh,
one handy.
but no, but I did do major rewrites. I submitted it several places and it got accepted into the Fresh Fruit Festival 10 years ago, actually, in 2016. And we did it there.
Great anniversary. Yeah.
And then it won all the awards that year. Yeah, it got great reviews and it won Best Production, Best Play, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress. I mean, it was wonderful. Um,
Magnificent.
and that started. And so I've done other stuff at Fresh Fruit, and then I just kept writing, and then um, got I submitted something to years later. I submitted something to Gene Cato at Next Stage Press, and it's my play Fable, which had not had a production. It hadn't even really had a reading, but he loved it and he published it. Um, and that has since gone on and had a spectacular production last 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, however long ago it was, at Free Fall Theater in St. Petersburg, St. Pete, Florida. Yeah. And it was a wonderful experience. Fable is about the creation of Gypsy through
Yes.
through June Havoc's eyes
Hmm.
because she
Lady
hated
June.
the show and she tried to get it stopped. So that's my hook into that
Ah,
story.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an intriguing, premise actually, and very juicy actually as well. You know.
Well, it's another O'Neill semi-finalist.
Yeah.
That's my
Fantastic.
second. So that was it. And other than that, I've just got Gene's published about five of my plays. The two children's ones are coming up this summer, and then in October he is publishing my latest work, which I suppose Jay was the one. That's the one Jay wants me to talk about.
Yes, indeed.
I've adapted A Passage to India, E.M. Forster's A Passage to India. And there'll be some readings coming up over the summer. Jay and I are working on that now, and it will
Excellent.
be published in October. So,
Fantastic. What was that like? That was like what I was building up to, actually, of course. But having read the original and seen the film
mhm,
from the early 80s,
mhm.
so directed by Waris Hussein, I remember, that comes to mind.
The movie
Uh,
was directed by David Lean.
was it David Lean? Yeah.
David Lean, yeah.
Oh, I'm misremembering then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he might have done another adaptation then, but good to know. Okay, but
Sorry.
no worries.
You
No,
can edit
I
that
thought
out
I'd
if you
name.
don't.
It was a name drop that didn't work. Anyway,
I
I
do
know
that
he
all the
did it.
time.
He might have done a BBC adaptation. Uh, but what was it like to take such a famous piece of work and revitalize it and bring it, give it a fresh coat of paint and what was the creative process of that? Yeah.
Well, it's probably the longest I've ever worked on it. I have one other script that's taken me longer. I'm still not done with it. But
Mm,
it's been just under 2 years that since I started working on it. I um I waited until it went into the public domain. I was actually going to start it years ago,
I see.
and I had my attorney look into getting the rights, and she came back to me with, "It's going in the public domain in a couple of years. Just wait. Then we don't have to do any deal with any of this." So I
Excellent.
did. I waited. Um, it was a story I always wanted to tell, and I always wanted to tell it from the point of view that Forster couldn't. I mean, there's so much subtext in that book and in the film that he
Mm,
could not write. And so that's what I've done with it. And it has spoken to me from the first time it crossed my path. And it was from the movie. It was when the movie came out, and I remember this distinctly. It was here again, we're going to cross theater and advertising.
yeah.
Um, It was the winter of 1985. I had graduated school the previous June, and I still did not have, I was freelancing here and there, but I did not have an ad agency job.
Right.
Um, and it was in February, I think, and it was a dreary, rainy, kind of snowy day. And I'd had an interview with the HR director at a major agency. And I was so excited about this interview. And she spent 3 hours ripping me to shreds, just, going through every piece of my book and telling me that it's just awful.
Wow.
Ending with, "You don't have the aptitude for this industry. I suspect you go back to school and for something else."
Good grief.
Yeah, well, there's another voodoo doll with pins in her too.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, collect them.
but but I mean, I was just, it was like the whole, it wasn't just the rug, it was the entire floor had just pulled out from under me.
Oh,
And I was just devastated. And I walked home. I was living on the Upper West Side then, the typical one bedroom apartment with three roommates. And I didn't want to go back upstairs. And I'm walking up Broadway, and I pass a movie theater where that film is playing, and it was starting in 10 minutes.
ah,
So I was like, okay. And I went in, and it was, like I said, a rainy afternoon. There was nobody in the theater, maybe five people in the theater. And I was entranced. I just was so taken with it. I actually sat through three screenings
three in the same day. Okay.
the same day.
Whoa,
I was just so taken with it. And
that
I
was
mean,
meant to be.
9 hours. And then I stopped at the Barnes and Noble on the way home and got the book. I didn't read it right away, but then I did read it, and I thought, someday I'm going to do something with this. I don't know what, because I hadn't even thought about being a writer at that point. At
Wow.
that point, I was, I wanted to be an art director in advertising, and I did community theater, and I did all that stuff. And I was directing. I mean, honestly, I thought I'd be able to parlay my advertising career into a directing commercials career.
Right.
And that never happened. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm really, really realized once I did get into the industry and I was doing TV commercials, I hated it. I just was like, this is not fun. But I was directing, and so I knew that I would do something with it, but I didn't really know what it would be until years later when I started writing, and that's when I thought I'd like to adapt this and tell the story from my point of view as a gay man. And that's when my lawyer said, wait. I waited, and then I started it about when did I start it? Actually, well, I thought about it a lot. I always think about my work long before I put anything down on paper.
Right.
Or
It was always unfair,
yeah,
for everything.
yeah, and I guess it was, I guess it was around October or November of 2024 when I actually started physically writing it. I was recuperating from a hip surgery, and and I remember doing most of the first draft standing up because I couldn't sit too long.
Oh,
I had
wow.
very so and that was fine. And I've done several private readings of it. I take a playwriting workshop with Eric Webb, the dramaturge, and it's mostly been developed in that workshop. And then I did a private reading, a private Zoom reading a couple of weeks ago, and then I'll be bringing it into Eric's workshop one more time in July, and then gonna unleash it on an unsuspecting public probably in late August, early September, right before it gets published.
Right.
And then
And New
hopefully
Stage
it
is
will go.
planning that. Right? Yeah.
Pardon?
New Stage is planning that publication imminently, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Exciting.
And then there'll be a launch party for it at the Drama Bookshop in October as well. And
Excellent.
hopefully I'll get a production out of it. I mean, I'm toying with the idea, which I will probably do. I will probably submit it to Fresh Fruit and hopefully get it done there. Um, I like doing Fresh Fruit. First of all, well, I'm on the board, but nonetheless, um, I believe in that group. I like that group. I like working there. They're really wonderful. To me, when you look at what readings cost,
Yeah.
and they can run into 20, 30. I mean, I know some of the more even big professional ones can be two, 300,000. Um,
It's a real
um,
commitment.
but if I did a reading of Fable that cost me just under $7,000. And it was great. It worked really well. I got a lot of stuff from it, but I could do a production at Fresh Fruit for just about the same amount of money. And I've
Yeah.
got a production. I've got, not the greatest production values,
Mhm.
but I've got sets, I've got lights, I've got costumes, I've got actors, and I've got three performances to run it in and
Right.
listen to an audience reaction over 3 nights,
Mhm.
which is much more helpful for me as a writer
Absolutely.
than the reading.
Yeah. So
You
much
know.
more goes into it. Just seeing it live and seeing the reaction from over 3 nights. I mean, you can really gauge where it's at and take it from there. I could see
Yep.
how vital that would be. So
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity
And
to have that festival, as a
exactly.
place to do
And
these things.
and I'm lucky because Gene understands this, and I we can republish. We can just, do updated editions because we're doing an updated edition of Fable. The gentleman who wrote the background music for Fable at Freefall, also he wrote the songs for the baby to sing because we're not using anything from Gypsy
No,
because don't want to pay for it.
no.
Um, um, and so Michael Robb, we put his lyrics into the script, so that's a part of it, and it can be licensed separately. But now we're going to be republishing it with some updated stuff that was in that production, the lyrics and the score and the music. It will all be in there with the like a real musical script with the cues for the underscoring, the cues for this, and blah 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 blah. So and it was actually Gene's idea to do that. So I mean, it's just it's a win-win for me.
Definitely. Did you see all of your works as like a living thing like that? That's something that you can say, well, I'm going to revisit this and try something else
Yes,
with it. Yeah. Mhm.
yes, and I'll tell you why. I wanted to get the script for the Glass Menagerie because there's something about it I didn't have it on my bookshelf. I wanted it. So many revised editions of that script. Tennessee Williams kept going back and revising it, and all of them were published. Same thing then with George and Martha. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Mm.
Albee kept revising that and kept revising it. So I'm like, all right, I'm not comparing myself to them, but if they can do it, I can do it. It is a living thing. And when you see it on stage, you see what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
Sometimes there are lines that I think are just like, okay, that line's got to go. It is not, I don't think it's funny. And then it consistently brings the house down. And then other lines that I think are just like either killer and are really going to resonate or are going to bring the house down and they don't. So,
Huh.
it is a living thing. And
Huh.
audiences really can tell you, audiences and actors can tell you so much about your work.
They really
Uh,
can. And
yeah.
it fascinates me. I remember doing a sketch comedy show where I thought we had the funniest thing in the world. I won't mention the details about it, except that I thought it was one of the funniest pieces, and I don't think we got more than a chuckle the entire 3 or 4 nights that we did it. And we tried to change it with the time that we had, and we said, well, okay, And then other things that I thought would just, would just get like uproarious laughter, and I'm like, you learn from that,
You
whether
do.
you're the writer or the actor. There's nothing like having it play and seeing how other people perceive it, and then having the opportunity, which is the best thing to get to go back and
Yes.
rethink it.
Yeah, it's a gift. It's a real gift. And as I said before, the actors will tell you so much. If they're stumbling over a line consistently, then it's not them, it's you, it's your line. You have to look at it and see how can you help the actor say this.
Right.
Um, and sometimes a line will get a laugh that isn't funny, but the way they do it,
Yeah.
it's like, uh-huh. So again, that's something I have to look into. But as I said, for the most part, I learn so much when the actors have my script in their hand. And like everybody else in this industry, I do have actors that I love to work with who get my work. I'm always looking to work with new actors. I love actors. I just love them. Um, and and I like directors too. I've worked with some really, really good ones. Um, but like I'm just waxing poetic now about actors and how much they have also really helped me.
Right. Yeah. Do you have a company of actors that you like to return to, or do you feel more invigorated by having new, fresh faces come in?
Oh, I go back to the same people quite often. I do like to uh, how do I put this? I'm thinking I do like to introduce new people in and out of things, like with Passage to India, with this reading that's coming up. I'm they don't know it yet, but there are about three new people I'm going to be bringing
Hmm.
into this because I like their work. I want to hear how they approach these roles. I think my gut instinct tells me that they'll be terrific. Uh, and then I will be bringing uh, a number of them back that I always work with. I will name names. Um, I'm working with a marvelous actor, Nitin Madden, and he has been reading Dr. Aziz from the beginning, and the guy is just, I mean, he's wonderful.
You
Um,
have your Aziz then for sure.
yeah, I have my Aziz, and of course, Nitin, if you're watching, I cannot promise you down the road. Eventually, there's going to be a director and a producer, and excuse me,
Hmm.
I will be fighting for you the whole way. And same goes for my Mrs. Moore. Do you know who Carol Monfordini is?
No, not a fan. No.
Oh, you should. She is
I'll look her up.
she has been reading Mrs. Moore from the beginning. She's actually one of the actresses who won uh best actress or best supporting actress. I can't at the Fresh Fruit Festival for Fierce Urgency of Now. She played the copywriter Dodo. She's done a lot of my work, and she's also just incredible. And then I've been working with Maria Elena O'Brien. She's been reading Attila and again, that there's nothing that woman cannot do. She just nails every role she takes. I've watched her in other people's plays, and my jaw is always on the floor. Always. She's just insane. So, of course I'm going to work with these people.
Yeah. And it's just magic when you find someone like that, and they
Yeah.
just inspire you, and refuel your own creative
Yeah.
drive, I think, when
Yeah. And
there's nothing like that.
actually, Maria Elena won an award for uh, her work in one of my short plays at the Queen's Short Play Festival a few years ago. Um, and from what I understand, this is like it was like the third or fourth time she's won an award there.
Huh.
she's that good. And but it's all audience voting. So
See, that's very satisfying. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's I like I said, I have the actors I like working with. And again, though I like last week I went to see a show at Fresh Fruit and there were a couple of actors in that who I have now contacted who I want to work with, one of whom I am definitely going to be asking to do passage to India. Um, so I have my barn, I have my stable of actors. That's a rude way to put it, but yeah.
Yeah, your company. Yeah, and that's important though. I mean, it's like it really is to have these people that not only you can trust and know that they're going to do great things, but you also, just creatively fuel each other. There's nothing better. I
Yeah.
mean, I've only done it as an actor, but
hmm
this those moments are always the most special. When you have your people that just sort of like
So, so you so
make it
you
fun.
you do act, right?
Oh yeah, I've dabbled,
Okay.
off Broadway
Okay.
and
So
in
you have
voiceover.
inadvertently now stumbled into my web. Um,
Not yet, no.
so
Yeah, but I'm very excited. I wanted to just jump back a little bit and talk a little bit about last year's success with Goddess of the Hunt,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
I understand was the best play winner in the Broadway World Awards. Award
For Tampa, the
for
regional
Tampa.
awards for Tampa St.
Yeah.
Pete. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice. It well that got done at Fresh Fruit first.
Mm.
Um and then I had gotten the offer from Owen at Lab Theater in Tampa after I had already signed the contracts for it to be published and to be done at Fresh Fruit. And Owen likes to have world premieres. That's his thing, plays that are not published. And so I said, well, here's the deal. Here's what's going on. And Owen was like, you're going to be doing revisions, right? And I said, oh, probably. So then what I do here will be the world premiere of that version. I'm like, okay, you must somewhere along the line have an advertising background. Uh, and he
Exactly.
said the same thing. And with Gene, we pushed the publication date back to coincide with the opening. So it was not published when it opened, it was published the day after.
Oh wow.
So then we were able to do after the production. I think the production had closed already when we did the drama bookshop event. But so it did have those two productions. And again, I learned so much from the Fresh Fruit Festival production. Brilliant director, Rosie Core. Um, and I'm working with Rosie and the woman who played Diana at Fresh Fruit. We're working on to get a production up in New York City in the next year or two. Um, and then what I learned in Tampa with that production also a lot of revisions, and I gave them all to Gene, and it has been republished, and then it won that award. And I mean, let's be honest about the Broadway World Awards. It's wonderful. I'm thrilled to death that it has that. But not to knock anybody's work, including mine, it's not a merit-based award. You got to campaign your butt off to get the votes,
Well, because
and I did. I mean, I was relentless. Um, and I even then Jay kept watching for me and he said, well, it's going up. You're gonna win, you're gonna win, you're gonna win. And I'm like, that's just Jay being Jay. Even though I saw it going up, I was like, yeah, something's gonna come in at the last minute. I know it, I know it. So I wasn't counting on it. And the awards were made public. The winners were made public on my birthday.
oh wow,
And I found out
that's the
I
best.
was out to dinner with some friends of mine here in my condo complex and my husband. And, my phone dings and I look and it's Mary Powelson, who had been Diana at Fresh Fruit. And she's like, you got to go look at Broadway World right now. And I thought, uh-oh. And I went. And so there it was. It was like Goddess of the Hunt with best play, best ensemble, best director. best set design. And I let out a shriek that stopped the entire restaurant. Just stopped the entire restaurant. And they came, it was my birthday, then they knew that. So when they came at the end with the dessert, the plate actually said happy birthday and congratulations.
Fantastic.
That was great. I mean, what a great birthday gift, you
That's
know?
a special moment. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we live for.
Yeah, but I was very
Wonderful.
excited and particularly for that play because it's weird. I mean, it's weird. It's filthy. It's unpleasant. I think it's very funny, but it's very, very, very dark humor. Um,
Yeah.
but it's right in my wheelhouse. Misfits, mothers, martinis, and murder. I mean,
Love
that's
it.
what I write about.
The
And
three M's.
or death, murder or death.
Mm.
But this is Diana the way I have envisioned her. She's a mother. And I was really surprised. I mean, I knew it would get accepted at Fresh Fruit. It's right up their alley.
Yeah.
Um, but I was surprised when Owen accepted it. I was like, "Are you sure? You have read this, right?"
You wanted to make sure that he was
Yeah. He's like,
on
"No, I
board.
know what we're getting into, but
Yeah.
I believe in this script. I really, this the story that you tell, as tilted as it is very compelling."
Right. Can you
So,
sum it up a little bit for any of our viewers who don't know
oh
the
yeah, sure.
plot? Yeah. We
Um,
want to get interested in
well,
it.
it starts at Joe Allen in New York,
Hmm.
and Charlie Windsor is grieving the loss of his husband. And he every Friday night he goes out for drinks with his friend Ed McGrath, who is a Broadway actor. He's playing Abe Lincoln. He won a Tony playing Abe Lincoln in a musical called Crazy for Abe. And they meet every Friday night. And then one Friday night, um, this woman, Diana, black, white, comes over and she had just seen Crazy for Abe that night for the eighth time. She wanted to see it one more time before Donna Murphy leaves and Cardi B takes over. And she and Charlie become, you think she's there to talk to Ed because she's seen the show so many times. But then she works her way into Charlie's life to such an extent, and they become instant BFFs. And this unsettles Ed. Charlie is going to be going to Paris in a couple of days to say goodbye to Mark because Paris was their city. And he gets to Paris, and lo and behold, Diana has checked herself into the same hotel where Charlie is. And I can't tell you any more without giving away so many surprise
Understood.
plot
Yeah.
twists.
Yeah. Just wanted a
But
little bit of a
nobody
taste
is,
of, you know.
yeah, nobody is who they say they are. Everything just goes to hell in a handbasket really fast, and the body count is quite it's a nice little body count, and I think it's look. I'm gonna name drop here. I wrote the show with an actor named Kevin Ligon in mind for Charlie. Kevin has an extraordinary Broadway career, and I just love him to death. And when I wrote it, I was like, this is just perfect for Kevin. And Kevin played it. He did do it at Fresh Fruit. He was between shows, and he
Mm.
said, "Sure, I'll do it." Um, and he's been in several Susan Stroman shows. And I also know Susan Stroman because my husband was her husband, Mike Ockrent's, one of his doctors. So Joe and Stro stayed in touch, and of course, I came along as the spouse. And so I'm friendly with her, and I invited her to Goddess, and she came. She actually came to see Fierce at Fresh Fruit as well, but she came, and I was a nervous wreck, and I'm sitting in the back, and I'm really trying not to pay attention. And I hear this laugh, and I know the laugh, and it's her. And she was laughing for 2 hours straight.
Hmm.
And then at the end, she was the first one on her feet.
Wow.
which was, I mean, that was just so touching and so wonderful. But so I can say the show is funny and because it's mine. But, when you have someone like Susan Stroman who knows funny, I mean, she works with Mel Brooks for crying out loud.
Yeah,
The woman knows funny. And when she's laughing, it's like, okay, I might have something here.
exactly. I mean, that's like just a watershed moment in life when it's just like that. It's just everything just
Mhm.
clicks and becomes, oh, the greatest high you could possibly have. That's a creative one,
Yeah.
the appreciation of someone who's so, uh, renowned like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was just a lovely thing. And um, like I said, we are looking into a future production. Hopefully we'll get it up in the next two 2 years. Yeah, I'm working with Mary in particular on two shows on Fable and Goddess. And I'm just going to be a real cock teaser here. Excuse my language.
No worries.
There is some possibly huge news coming for Fable. Um, not Broadway. It's not that huge, but it looks like it will be coming to New York, um,
Fantastic.
which I'm very excited about. And more on that when I know more.
Absolutely. To be continued. Yeah. Watch
Yeah,
this
like one of
space,
those
as they say.
Facebook posts. News coming soon.
Love it. Love that. Something tantalizing. That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch this space. Yeah. Terrific.
So, I mean, so that's me. I mean, that's, I talked a lot about myself tonight, and that's what I love talking about myself.
And I
And
love listening.
what can I say? I am by far my own most favorite subject. When I was teaching, someone referred to me as the Gene Brody of FIT.
Mm.
And I was like, that one I'm going to take.
Absolutely. You just go with it and, just shine your light. Well, anything else you want us to let the viewers know that's coming up in 2026? It's been a very busy and a very positive, last couple of years. But how, we have Passage to India coming and the other productions of, Fable and Goddess that, that we'll see soon, hopefully. But are
Yeah.
there any things that are sort of like in the mix? Anything that you're brainstorming right now? Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I am tweaking A Passage to India to death. It literally has become the Oscar Wilde. I put the comma in, I take the comma out. three
Sure.
hours later, I put it back in. Yeah. Um, I'm really concentrating on that. I'm concentrating on getting the scripts for the children's shows ready. And I mentioned earlier, I have a script that I've been working on far longer, and I am now working on that. Um, and that's a script that's also based on a real story. Do you know the movie All This in Heaven 2 with Betty Davis and Charles Boyer?
Oh no, I know them, but I don't know the particular film. I'll
Okay,
have to
well,
look it
anyway,
up.
it's a
Yeah.
period piece. And
Yeah.
that was based on the book All This in Heaven 2, which was a fictionalized version of the truth. There was a,
Mm.
a big scandal in Paris in 1847. The Duc de Praslin murdered his wife, and it appeared that it was over the governess. Of course, the real story is much more lurid, much more detailed. Um, it's not all cut and dried, but basically, the scandal was so big, it sort of lit the match that led to the revolution of 1848,
Wow.
which pulled Louis Philippe from the throne. He was the last king of France.
Oh
Um,
boy.
so it's a fun little script. But the thing is that both the Duke and the Duchess were both nuts.
I see.
They were both clearly insane people.
Yeah, but that makes for an
Yeah,
entertaining piece of
yeah,
fictionalized history
yeah,
though.
no, it's
Yeah.
right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Misfits, mothers, not so many martinis, but murder, and so that's and that has taken me forever to get a handle on it. I think I might be there. We'll see how
That's
this draft turns out. But I think that's enough, you know?
oh yeah, that's plenty to concentrate on.
I'm an old man. I need my afternoon naps.
I'm the same way, actually. Yeah, I am absolutely the same. Matter of fact, I always have, even when I was in high school, I needed naps. So I'm with you on that too. We have that in common as well. So, in between, you definitely have earned them, so like it's a very, incredible, prolific time and a very creative, fertile time, which is always exciting to me. And I'm very excited to see
Well, thank
everything
you.
that's coming up for you, Doug. And and I'm hoping to be there at the drama book store, and for the
October
reading
8th.
passage. Yep, October 8th, got it. We'll
October
let our
8th.
listeners
And
know.
I'm looking forward to it too. Those are always fun events. I mean,
Mhm.
I shout out to everyone at the Drama Bookshop. David Regano and Eugene Mark Garcia and everybody else there. That is one of the, well, first of all, and Lynn Manuel Miranda for
Yeah,
coming in and saving it and opening it. That is an oasis. It's a little slice of heaven, and it is exceptionally well run. And I am very grateful that they are so welcoming to me.
absolutely. It's a beautiful space and
Isn't
wonderful
it?
people. I've had the pleasure of
Yep.
meeting them
Yeah.
and going to some events there. So I'm looking forward
Cool.
to
Well,
more.
good.
And this has been an absolute delight, Doug. I'm very appreciative and,
Thank
keep
you. I am
shining.
too.
Mhm.
I'm always surprised when people want to talk to me, and I'm always surprised when they let me because I talk forever.
Well, I'm a what I would call a professional listener. I just love to listen to people talk about what lights them up, and
Thank
so
you.
it's a treat for me. Believe me, 100%.
Thank
So
you.
anytime.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us
You're
tonight.
very welcome, Jim. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to meeting you at the Drama Bookshop, if not before.
Thanks again to Doug DeVita, and we will see you next time on Indie Influencer.